Hey, welcome to Planetary Pennies, Astrology Overview and Look at the month ahead of October 2020. Before I start, some people have been telling me they're finding it difficult to find their particular sun sign, and they don't particularly want to read or listen to all the other sun signs, which I fully understand, unless of course you know your ascendant or your moon sign, and then you can also look at those for yourself. So my lovely tech guy Jerry has just given me a brief description so that I can explain to you how you find your particular sun sign. So if you look down here at the bottom of the video here, you should see a little arrow. I think at this point it's probably pointing upwards, but it has something written on it that says show more. Now what you have to do is you click on show more and a description box drops down, and then you will see like an index for all the signs. So you'll have, Leo, and it'll start with the overview for October plus Leo's astrology. So that way I'm hoping it'll be a lot easier for you to navigate around this channel. Okay, so with no further ado, and I really hope that helps to explain it, I will continue with October's overview. So we are now in Libra season. So, when the sun moves into Libra, it kind of focuses us much more on the relationship aspect of life. So that would be the relationship aspect of, for example, our one-to-one close friendships, our one-to-one intimate relationships with family, with more, our wider friend circle. I also think, because when I looked at the chart, and I'm going to go over that briefly in a minute, when I looked at the chart for October, there is actually a pretty strong emphasis, in spite of the sun being in Libra, there is an emphasis on relationships. And I think this is on a rather grander scale, because I think this is actually on an international scale. Relationships between countries, relationships within countries, between communities. My sense is, because we have Mars retrograde, and it will be for quite a while in Aries, and Mars is making this harsh, difficult aspect to the big boys, Saturn, Pluto and Jupiter in Capricorn, which is in the 7th house of this October chart that I've set up. And what that tells me is that I really feel governments and world leaders are going to really struggle with keeping people safe within the confines of lockdown, because I suspect there's going to be a real movement underneath, or underground if you like, of the masses, the populace, getting very frustrated with lockdown, getting very frustrated with the fact that they are being so damaged financially in their individual businesses. They are losing jobs, and so there is going to be, I think, a real surge towards this kind of unrest. And my sense is that as these planets, that is Pluto, Jupiter and Saturn, start to move forward again in Capricorn, because Pluto actually starts to move forward on it moves forward on the 4th of October. So we will then have these three big boys going direct in Capricorn. So that's Saturn, Pluto and Jupiter. Now remember, Jupiter expands, and Jupiter can expand negative stuff as well as positive stuff, because it's like Jupiter is kind of neutral. So what I want to say with this is that, Pluto is pushing us towards transforming the way we actually govern our planet. It's pushing countries to transform the way they administer their governmental duties. It's on such a broad scale. You see Saturn that is also direct now, because Saturn went direct at the end of September. You know, Saturn is about governments and order and law and restrictions and boundaries. And I really feel that there is going to be quite a tension throughout the month of October, because as we move towards the end of the year, when these planets, in a sense, meet up much more tightly, because Jupiter, and again, remember, it expands what it touches. That's great if you've got a winning lottery ticket. And maybe we'll get some of those this month, who knows? And let's hope I'll go and buy one. And it expands what's negative and what's dark as well. So, you know, we also have to remember that we're moving towards the US elections. And we've seen in other years how tense things get throughout the world as we observe what's happening on the United States stage in these kind of events that have to unfold. So what I'm saying on a more personal level is, be mindful of your close personal relationships. Be mindful of short tempers with each other. I notice, for example, on social media, one gets a lot of kind of attacking going on between people. You know, there's the pro-masks against the anti-masks. There's the pro-vaxxers against the anti-vaxxers. I mean, people, we've all got to try and live together in harmony. And at this point, does it matter on one level who's right and who's wrong? It's just that perhaps we have differences of opinion. And I think if we can respect each other's differences of opinion, as we all strive towards building a stronger future and somehow pulling together the dramatic change that this planet is kind of going through at the moment, if we go with that, because, you know, when you when a branch holds itself firm against the wind will snap it and break it. If it bends, then it can survive. And I think one of the underlying symbols for me about this month is that what we have to do is actually bend with that force of the wind. We've got to bend with the force of Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter moving towards their final kind of meeting in November, I think it is, when they finally all get together. The other thing I want to talk about before I move on to your individual signs is that we have a Mercury retrograde this month. Now, please don't fear Mercury retrograde. It can be a good thing, because it can give all of us, including the government, second chances to tweak things, to get things right this time. You know, as countries throughout the planet are beginning to see that they may have to enforce larger lockdowns again because of this kind of second wave that, I don't know whether the first wave ever went away, to be quite honest, but we have this kind of surge in virus cases. It feels like, hopefully, every single government throughout the world will use the vision of hindsight. I mean, we all know that 2020 is going to have that stigma on it forever of 2020 hindsight. And but you know, this Mercury retrograde is helping that. It's saying, look, we can see what we perhaps didn't get right last time. Let's try and actually get it right this time, because that way maybe we can save lives, we can save jobs, we can save businesses. So that's the positive of Mercury retrograde. The sort of the more downside of Mercury retrograde, and Mercury's going to be in Scorpio, and he goes then back into Libra, and he doesn't go direct till November the 3rd. So we've got, from the 14th of October, we've got this Mercury retrograde period. Yes, we can expect delays in travel, but I think we know why, and I think we're all more aware that if we are booking long distance travel or even short distance travel, it may be subject to change or cancellation. And I don't think we can just stop living our lives because of all these restrictions. I think we have to learn to adapt. And by adapting, I think respect everybody's own individual wishes within that. And respect each other, because this Libra emphasis on relationship, I do feel is super important for October. You know, this Mars square to Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter, you know, there's going to be a lot of kind of sparking off and fights and arguments, and it's just quite tricky. I just want to look at what Uranus is doing, because Uranus is retrograde, of course, in Taurus, and I do think because Taurus is all about money and investments, this retrograde Uranus is going to see a little bit more instability again in the financial world and the sort of the economic climate, which is not what any of us want to hear. But I think there's a lot of nervousness around because of, you know, the fact that we're coming into winter in the Northern Hemisphere, and we are going to go through quite a challenging time. Now, I have talked a lot about October in this overview, but I just feel it's important to get these points across. Your individual sun signs will probably not be quite as long, but they will hopefully have the more direct information that you require to navigate your way through October. So before you go on to that, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning into my channel, watching my videos, and subscribing to my channel. If you've not subscribed, I'd be super happy if you could. That would be fantastic. And the likes and shares are hugely, hugely appreciated. And also, if you would like to book a personal one-to-one session with me for astrology or life coaching, or you'll probably find it's a combination of both, in fact, then my website address is in the description box underneath the video. I think it's also just written here in the bottom of the video. So that's all I want to say for now. And so until next month, enjoy your October horoscopes. Thank you. Hey Leo, welcome to your October astrology for the Sun in Leo or for the Ascendant in Leo. And if you happen to know where your moon is, that can also be super helpful as well. Okay, so here we go. Well, in the overview for October, if you remember, I did talk quite a bit about how this is a month of relating, because we're in the Libra energy. So we're very much caught up in this Libra energy at the moment. So what does this mean? Well, on the 1st of the month, we have a full moon in Aries, and that's going to be in your 9th house. Now, Aries is a cardinal sign, so it's very much about initiating and getting things kind of moving. So I suspect, Leo, that you're going to be wanting to get something really moving with regard to either some kind of higher training, something you've been working on, but maybe wanting to ramp it up to the next level. It could also see you having had quite enough of not really traveling very far this year, and actually doing something about it and booking something and thinking, well, if I go, I go. If I don't, I don't. So being a little bit perhaps more flexible, which is not very usual for fixed signs like Leo. But anyway, there we go. So let's see what else is happening, because Pluto, one of my big boys in your 6th house, goes direct on the 4th. Now, this energy that's been sitting in your 6th house, Leo, for quite a while now, that's Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn, they have been slowing you down. They have been restricting you with regard to maybe health issues that have kept you restricted or laid up. And with Mars still really aspecting harshly in a square your planets in Capricorn, that's Jupiter, Saturn and Pluto. I really think you need to be super careful this month, Leo, and make sure you address anything health-wise that perhaps you've overlooked or just want to sort of ignore, because Saturn has a way of not allowing us to avoid these things. So basically, whichever way you go, he will make sure it has to be addressed. And it's really better to go willingly where Saturn's concerned, rather than try and fight it. So just bear that in mind, Leo. We also need to look at the fact, because Jupiter is also direct now, and Jupiter expands everything it touches. So that means as it comes closer to its conjunction with Pluto, which it will do a bit later on, you know, it's going to expand any chances and opportunities you have for transforming. This could be transformation with regard to your day-to-day activities, your work, your attention to detail. It may be that you're managing to find ways to refine how you do your work. And, you know, this part of your chart does give you the opportunity to be quite Virgo-minded about it and detailed. Even though it's a Capricorn house for you, it does give structure to your day-to-day working. Now, also, I just want to mention, because as I glanced down at the chart, I noticed you've got this Arabic part that I mention sometimes called the part of fortune, and it's in your 7th house, Aquarius, on this particular chart. Now, that really could be super cool, but I think we're looking at next year really, because I think when the big boys Jupiter and Saturn, and Jupiter expands, come to that point, then I think we could see some very interesting developments in your love life in terms of very significant person in your life. Now that's going to be very interesting, and that's next year though, and I think it will bring you a lot of luck, actually, Leo. Now also, I want to talk about the fact that we've got Mercury going retrograde on the 14th. It's going to be in your house of home, and it's going to be about, well, I think it could be time for a good old clear out, actually, Leo. I think if you've, you know, Mercury gives us a chance to go back and sort things out. So, you know, if through the summer months you've been a bit, you know, kind of laid back and lazy and enjoying a certain amount of freedom that we've all gained from sort of easing of the tensions with the virus, then there may be, with the cooler months, it's a time when you can actually start just looking at what needs to be tidied up. It will go back into Libra, which will also give you a chance to sort of attend to documents and papers that perhaps you've overlooked and not really kind of, you know, I'm thinking of myself, and I know I've got, I don't know, a house insurance bill to pay, and I just keep putting it on the, oh, it's on that pile. So I have to, you know, address that at some point. So that's the kind of thing. So Mercury retrograde will probably remind me of that. It goes retrograde until the 3rd of November. Then what else have we got happening this month, Leo? Well, on the 16th, we've got a new moon in Libra as well. So you see how we have this emphasis on Libran energy and relationship energy. So this is in your 3rd house, Leo. So this is about how you communicate in your relationships. So I think it's going to give you a really good new chance to talk to sort of friends and neighbors and just find better ways of communicating with sort of friends and loved ones. And that kind of links in very well, of course, with the Mercury going retrograde as well. But of course, we cannot finish your reading without talking about Halloween. The 31st of October, and we have another full moon, and this is a blue moon, and this is in your house of career. So this is up in your 10th house in Taurus, Leo. and it's conjunct Uranus. Now, I find that very interesting because Uranus is all about shocks, unexpected surprises. I think you might surprise yourself with things you may be setting in place to do with your career and your kind of more public face, if you know what I mean. So also Uranus can be about social media. It could be about it's the internet, it's connecting, it's Uranus is electric. It could be about YouTube. It could be doing videos on YouTube. It's really somehow Leo putting you out there. And this full moon is giving you some kind of like marker point to say, right there, here's this opportunity, do it. So that feels like quite a good full moon for you. With regards to the sort of the larger scale, you'll hear about that more when I do the full moon video on the 31st on Facebook, because that full moon, because it is, as I said, conjunct Uranus, could cause all sorts of interesting surprises. I do hope they're nice ones. Anyway, for now, Leo, I'd like to say thank you so much for joining me for your October astrology. I would be super pleased, if you haven't already, if you subscribed to my YouTube channel. You can click on subscribe, which is just underneath the video. And also, if you would like to have a one-to-one with me for astrology or life coaching, it's probably going to be a combination of both anyway. My website address is just here in the bottom of the video, just there. And in the meantime, Leo, thanks so much for watching today, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye for now. Bye.